All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. My name is Toga Gambe, and I'm joined here with Catherine Lu, who's the head of our Canada program here at Holborn. I'm a senior wealth manager with Holborn, and today we're going to be talking about the Canada Startup Visa, which is offering entrepreneurs a unique chance to launch their business and gain permanent residency. I myself, right now, am based in Toronto, Canada. So I can definitely attest that Canada is a great country to be in. And so today, so I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Holborn Assets and Holborn Pass. And then Catherine is going to talk about the residency by investment, the Canada SUV program, the process and benefits. And then at the end, we'll open it up to Q&A. But please feel free along the webinar, if you've got any questions that you may need to ask, just type them into the chat. I'll be watching the chat and we'll address them towards the end. So to tell you a little bit more about Holborn, Holborn has been around for over 25 years. We've got over 20,000 clients worldwide and 18 international offices in 13 countries with 12 full regulatory licenses. We've got over 500 staff members and we currently manages 2 billion assets under management. And then Holborn Pass is our citizenship and residency by investment division, which is one of our fastest growing divisions, where we assist people achieve their global mobility. So to tell you a little bit more about Holborn Pass, to date, we've helped over 500 families gain citizenship and residency. Over 300 million has been invested through our citizenship and investment programs, 250 million in terms of property asset, and we've worked with over 40 different nationalities to help them secure a golden visa. So Holborn Pass, we are an international leader in investment visas through our global partnership with prestigious law firms, developers, and financial institutions worldwide. We can provide a comprehensive residency and citizenship solution as part of the wider Holborn Assets Group, which was established in 1998. One of our core values are integrity and transparency. So whether you're looking for increased global mobility, developing business opportunities, or creating a more secure future for your family, helping our clients pursue their goals is the forefront of what we do as a business. And we do provide a bespoke service and tailored advice. So even within this webinar, if some of your questions are really, really tailored to you, we really invite you to have a more one-on-one discussion later on that we can schedule with you. And we've definitely successfully helped over hundreds of individuals and families secure a golden visa, which opens up a world of opportunities and possibilities. So to tell you a little bit more about the Startup Visa, the government of Canada launched the Startup Visa in 2013. It was initially launched as a pilot program, but was made permanent in 2018. And the program aims to attract to Canada talented entrepreneurs with innovative business ideas that will be launched in Canada that can create jobs for Canadians and have the potential to scale up. And lastly, before I hand it off to Catherine to tell you a little bit more about me, yes, my name is Toga Gambe. I'm a senior wealth manager with Holborn. I've got over 13 years of financial service experience. Zimbabwean by birth, but I'm based here in Canada. I also obtained my education here in Canada. I did my Bachelor of Commerce and my MBA, specializing in finance in Canada. And I also have my Level 4 Chartered Institute of Securities International Wealth Management Certificate. So now I'll hand it over to you, Catherine.
Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. So presentation about myself. So at the same time that Holborn was established in 1998, I was becoming a lawyer. So I am both Canadian and French, but I was born and raised in Canada. And this is where I became a lawyer. Ever since that time, I specialized in helping investors and entrepreneurs and also self-employed gain a permanent residency in Canada. I've represented nearly 2,000 investors and entrepreneurs so far. Just like we do at Holborn, the priority in my practice is integrity, transparency, and to be compliant. Immigration is quite complex. It's important to know all the little details, and I'm proud of doing that along with all my clients. I am based in Hong Kong for personal reasons, but I go to Canada every year, and I'm part of many associations and represent many clients, mainly to go to Canada. Here you can see, because as a lawyer, it's important that I maintain my license to be able to represent my client fully. So I'm attached to the Barreau du Québec, which is the French Quebec French province of Canada, where yearly I need to renew my license. And I'm also a member of the three Immigration Lawyers Association that is pan-Canadian, where we discuss on a daily basis all the changes in the immigration law and where we try to advocate the best for our clients, just to make sure that the government of Canada treats fairly all the applicants, all the foreign nationals that wants to move to Canada. So with this, we're able to make some changes, make recommendations to the government, and make sure we are up to date. So on a daily basis, I have received tons of emails, and we have many portals where I can make sure that my practice is up to the best standards. That's important to mention that I'm a lawyer, because if you want to apply for immigration to Canada, you can do it yourself. It's quite complex, but everything is on the Immigration Canada website. But if you wish to be represented by a specialist, only a few can represent you. And it's important that if you are represented, you choose a good person. So currently, there's only 3 types of person that can represent you fully and legally. Lawyers, such as myself, a public notary, which is a small group of people, and agents who did a specialized course with a college in Canada. So only the 3 groups I've mentioned are able to inform you on immigration to Canada and represent you in your application. If somebody is not in one of these 3 groups, you should not get services from them, because if you were caught, or if it would be found out by the Immigration Canada, you could be deemed to have misrepresented yourself. And in that case, you would be barred from Canada for 5 years, and all your family members, whether they were included in the application or not. So consequences are quite bad. As we've mentioned, the webinar today is about the startup visa. So the word says it, the name says it. It's a startup program. So it means that you wish to go to Canada and you're able to go to Canada to start up a business. The program says that the business idea needs to be innovative, although innovation is not described in the immigration law. But what we mean by this is that your business idea needs to be innovative, okay, so new, or it needs to solve a problem that we have in Canada. Here are the advantages of obtaining permanent residency in Canada. Those of you who are very interested in Canada may already know all of this, but of course, Canada still offers exceptional standard of living, quality of life is good, it's quite safe still, and people find that it remains affordable and comfortable. Once you become a permanent residency of Canada, you have access to the public health care. So in any of the provinces, you have a program where it's free to go to get medical support without having to pay. We have an excellent education system, and we have numerous institutions that are highly ranked, even globally. And you have free education up until the child finishes the secondary school level. One thing interesting about Canada is the recognition of common law relationships. So that means that if you're living with a partner, a spouse, without being married, it's not a problem in Canada. You don't have to be married to be recognized as a couple. The other aspect is that we also recognize same-sex unions, and again, married or not. So that's also special to Canada, because we cannot say that all countries are that welcoming. If you've seen, pictures of Canada, if you've been to Canada, you can see the natural beauty, the different landscape we have from one ocean to the other. So from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean, we have a very, most of the country is nature. In fact, as you know, Canada is one of the biggest country, but the population is still only, I think now it's 41 million, which is really small for this huge country. It's also a very country, that is rich in natural resources. So that can be helpful for some people even working in this industry, but it's also interesting to know because it places Canada on a good ranking overall. Permanent residency and citizenship. So this program, the Startup Visa program, is currently the only program where you apply directly to become a permanent resident. Many immigration programs in Canada, and we have over 140 programs, immigration programs in Canada. This is the only one where your first application is permanent residency, and if you're accepted, you get permanent residency. Other programs are 2-steps programs or even 3-steps programs. So you either have to go study first or work first, be on a temporary resident status to be able to, after this, apply for permanent residency. So when you get permanent residency, you get all the benefits that a Canadian get. The only thing you cannot do is vote. You cannot run for office, and you don't have the passport. But other than this, you get all the same benefits, and I will say also obligations as a Canadian. The first point here is that it's individual. The status is individual. So let's say you're a family of 5. You all get permanent residency at the same time. But if one of the family members have different plans afterwards, okay, so would leave for another country and would not meet the residency requirements. That means that they would not be in Canada enough days to be able to maintain the permanent residency status or even to renew it. The other family members would not be impacted or affected by this. Okay, so once a family unit becomes a permanent resident, it's individual who will be able to keep and renew permanent resident status and who will be able to apply for citizenship. In order to be able to maintain PR, okay, so permanent residency, we say PR, and or to renew it, you need to be in Canada on the territory at least 2 years out of the 5 years. So 2 years is about 730 days. It doesn't have to be consecutive, okay, so you could be 2 months in Canada, then leave, then be 6 months in Canada, leave, it doesn't matter, but you need to accumulate 730 days in the end. And then to be able to apply for citizenship, it's 3 years out of the 5 years preceding the application for citizenship. So 3 years is 1,095 days, as you can see on the slide. It's equivalent to 3 years. So if you've been in Canada as a permanent resident for the equivalent of 3 years or the past 5 years, you're eligible to apply for citizenship. Of course, there are other requirements. For example, you need to still be able to speak English or French to a certain level. You need to have had paid your taxes. If you had to pay tax, there is a questionnaire you need to answer, which is not known as being difficult. The most stringent requirement for citizenship eligibility is the number of days spent in Canada. So I always advise people before renewing their PR after 730 days or before applying for citizenship, just don't do it on the limit of 730 days or 1,095 days. Just, accumulate a little bit more days before you apply. When you apply for the startup visa, you can include in your application your spouse. So again, I repeat that a spouse can be your married spouse or common law partner. You can include your children up to the age of below 22 years old. Okay, so up to the age of the application can be submitted the day before they turn 22, but that's a bit risky. But so they need to be below 22 years old. A child who's above 22 years old could be included in the application, but only if this child is unable to live independently. So they need to depend on their parents financially, and ever since they were born. So that would be that child would be eligible. Children can be biological or adopted. This is fine as long as for adopted children you have the documents. If you have a child that's below 22 years old, that child should not be married or in a common law relationship. Okay, so they have to be single to be included in the application. If during your application if you were single from the beginning and you would get married, you can include the spouse during the application. Same thing for a child. You have a newborn child, you can add the child to the application. So here we talk about the requirements for the startup visa. So strangely enough, this program doesn't have many requirements. Usually immigration programs, you have requirements on age, you have requirements on education, like minimum education or field of education. You can have requirements on the management experience or work experience. So here it's quite broad. So we've put the four main criteria here is to, first, you will have to have a qualifying business. By this, we mean it's a Canada startup visa. Thierry Toga said it earlier. It's a Canadian company that you will be establishing that will be in Canada, operating in Canada, hiring people in Canada. So you need to be the owner of a business in Canada, where you hold at least 10% of the voting rights. I will explain more about this later. If you don't have it today when we speak, that's absolutely not a problem. Then you would need to get the letter of support from a designated entity. Okay, so the government, when they created the Canada Startup Visa, they designated, entities that would be supporting these foreign nationals coming into Canada to start up their business. So among the designated entities, you have business incubators that can support you. You have angel groups and you have venture capitalists. Okay, so there's a list. The list is public. It's found on the Immigration Canada website, and it changes. Okay, because some of the designated entities can lose their designations if they did not do due diligence on their client. Some are no longer interested. You have new ones, but I would say that since last year, there's been many changes to the immigration programs, all of them, including Startup Visa, and we've been losing designated entities, but still, last time I've checked, it was about 2-3 weeks ago, we were at 73 entities. Some of them don't support applicants that are from outside Canada, but there's still room, there's no worries about that. But if you don't have this letter of support that we often call LOS, then you don't have an application for startup visa. So this is where it starts. Then there is a language requirement for the startup visa, which makes sense because you would be moving to Canada to start up your company. So you need to speak at least one of the two official languages of Canada. So in Canada, there's two languages, French or English, English being the main one. So you need to prove with a recognized test that you have level 5. So those of you familiar maybe with the IELTS test, IELTS test, it would be, say, overall 5. Settlement funds. So this program does not ask to see all your personal worth. It doesn't set a minimum of investment, but what they ask is that you show that you have enough money to come to Canada when you're accepted for permanent residency and have enough money to support yourself for at least 6 months. So there's a grid that's updated nearly every year. And it says, I put 2 examples here. So a single applicant would have to show that they have at least 15,000 Canadian equivalent Canadian dollars in a bank account or in any other asset that is liquid. If it would be a family of 7, it would be 39,000. Okay, so it's not a huge amount. I'm also not sure it would be sufficient for 6 months for a family of 7, but with this, it's a calculation that the government make to make sure you have shelter, that you can, purchase food, that you can transport yourself, children can go to school. So this is the numbers as we have them now. I suspect they will be changing soon by a few, maybe 1 or 2,000, because usually it's done in June. But as this year we had a new government, they haven't done it. I just saw they updated it for one other immigration program so far. So if you've seen in other presentation that there is a minimum investment, well, it's not set by the law, okay? Of course, you need to pay to establish your business, and there's a lot of fees to be able to start up this innovative business in Canada, but there's no set minimum of investment by the government. Here we talk more about this. So there's no minimum management experience needed for this program as opposite to other programs. But of course, I've seen so many applications for different programs where you're an investor or an entrepreneur. When we assess prospective clients, we do look at the work experience, because you cannot pretend you will be going to Canada, start up a business if you have no work experience or no management experience. So we do look at it, but there's no minimum by law. If I go on the right, so no net worth verification. So they will not ask you to demonstrate what's your worth. They just ask for the settlement funds. Only if you apply for the work permit, okay, you're able to apply for a work permit. I will talk about that later. Under the startup visa, to be waiting for the permanent residency from inside Canada, then you need to show you have enough money to invest in the startup based on the documents that you would be submitting. For example, if you submit a business plan showing the business you will start up in Canada, and it says you will be investing 50,000 from your pocket, something like this, then you would have to show you have this money. This program also doesn't require a prior physical presence in Canada. So it doesn't matter if you've never been to Canada before, you will not have to go during the processing of the application for permanent residency. You don't have to go on an exploratory trip, nothing like this. Startup performance, okay? Because I have this question all the time. People ask me, yes, I would want to go and start up this innovative business in Canada, but what if it fails? So Immigration Canada knows that not all startup will survive. So what they assess is the potential of the business. Okay, so it's a startup. You will have found like a designated entity that will want to support you. So it's a proposal. So we would be submitting with you all the documents, business plan, a pitch deck, different documents to show this is the business idea, this is what the applicant intends to do. And if they think they see that it's innovative and that there's a potential for this, they see that you would be hiring locally and that it can scale up within Canada and maybe even abroad, then it's on this that the startup is assessed. If the business does not make money, or if after you get permanent residency, you can no longer run the business, they will not remove the permanent residency from you. We had a program in the past, and it was called Entrepreneur Program, where the permanent residency status was tied to the performance of the company for at least 2 years. So it was kind of a conditional permanent residency, if you want. But startup visa, as it is now, is not like this. So here is more information about the designated organization. When we work with our clients, we will introduce them to different designated entities to find one that will be willing to support our client and the business idea that they have. So the first group mentioned here is venture capitalists. So the venture capitalists will agree to invest 200,000 Canadian dollars in the business. And ever since last year in April 30th to be exact, 2024, the government of Canada said if the business idea, if the applicant is supported by a venture capitalist, then the processing would be prioritized at Immigration Canada. The second group would be angel investor groups. So they would be agreeing to invest 75,000 Canadian dollars into the startup at a later stage. And they also benefit from the prioritized processing at Immigration Canada. And the last group is business incubators. So in the past, the business incubators would not be committing to invest money in the startup. They would be there to, for the incubation period. They would be supporting the startup. But ever since the changes made last year, April 30th, to the priority, some of the business incubators decided that they would be investing in the company, in the startup, 75,000, just like the angel group, so that the applicants that they support would be benefiting from the prioritized processing. Okay, so if a business incubator only supports the startup, it would be the normal processing. But if the business incubator decides to agree to invest 75,000, or if the business incubator is part of the Canada Tech Network, and this can be found on a page on Immigration Canada website, then they would have the prioritized processing. So that's the difference. So right now we have kind of a two-speed program. I must say that on Immigration Canada website, there's only Immigration Canada shows you the processing time for each category of immigration application. So for startup visa, there's only one processing time that is shown. It's an average. So it includes, the prioritized applications and the not so prioritized application. I highly doubt that they would be showing two speeds. It's been over a year now that we have two speeds and they haven't done it, and I don't think they will do. So it's an average. Last time I've checked, it was up to 51 months per startup. Okay, so some are faster. We see some applications accepted at about 2 years at the moment, so 24 months. But I saw some judicial review at the court who were claiming that they have been under processing for over 6 years. So average, is an average. So right now it says about 51. I haven't checked it this morning. So for the startup, the legislation says that a foreign national can apply as a single applicant, solo applicant, meaning that, okay, I will be alone going to Canada, starting up this company. I will be the owner of this company. This is my idea. Please, proceed to my foreign residency application. But the legislation, also says that you can team up with other foreign nationals that also want to apply under the startup visa. So the maximum is 5. Okay, we say it here, up to 5 team members. So in the past, so before April last year, I myself represent many startup visa applicants. It was about 60% of the applicants I was representing were in teams of 2, 3, 4, 5, and 40% were single applicants. Okay, but since the changes made in April last year, the market, the industry is now pushing for people to team up together. It does make sense, that if you go to Canada, you open up a business that is supposed to be innovative. You're starting from scratch. You don't really know Canada that well. Then having co-founders would be helpful. So angel investors and venture capitalists have always only supported teams, but now business incubators also are looking for teams. So we don't assume that you would be coming and talking to us and say, oh, I have a team, I'm with 4 other foreign nationals from, my network, and we want to apply together. It happens. It did happen in the past. But what is done at the moment is that, for example, at Holborn, if we have 2 clients interested in this program, we will look at the profile, see if they would fit together, see if there's common interest and experience, and what kind of business idea can be attached to these profiles. And then we would be looking for other team members to join. It is still possible to apply as a solo applicant, but then the designated entities, so that's again, the business incubators, venture capitalists, and angel investors would be asking for a lot more, as they would be losing the potential to have more applicants. I will explain more why the industry is like this at the moment. This is one of the very beautiful landscape we have in Canada. This is a list of industries that can qualify for a startup visa, because there are industries where, of course, there's a lot of innovation that can take place. So we're talking about energy, internet, big data, software, AI, robotics, environmental technologies, life sciences, healthcare, and biotechnology. There are already strong industries in Canada, like many people know that pharmaceutical is a strong industry, healthcare in Canada. With the aging population, we do need a lot of new ideas in these areas. So many business ideas for the startup are in these industries. Or if you have work experience or education in these industries, then usually we would say, without, like under reserve, that you would be a good a good prospect for the startup visa. So last year, 2024, if you've been interested in Canada for a while, you will have seen many things over the news. There has been lots and lots and lots of changes in all the immigration programs last year. And even now in 2025, it continues, but on a slower pace, I would say. So, of course, the startup visa was also affected by the changes. Some changes were not so welcome at the beginning, and some were, but here are the 4 main changes that affected the SUV startup visa. So I think I will start by the bottom. Okay, so expedited processing. So I said prioritize processing earlier. So on April 30th, Immigration Canada, okay, the letters for Immigration Canada is IRCC. You can see it on the left. So it's Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada. They decided that they would be prioritizing the startups' ideas supported by angel investors and VCs, and business incubators from 2 groups. Then if I go up 1 point, limited quotas. So this has changed the game for the startup visa. IRCC announced on the 29th of April, effective the day after, that each of the designated entities would only be able to support 10 startup businesses per calendar year. Okay, so that was new. Before that, some designated entities were able to support many applicants every year. Now they're limited to 10 startups, so that's 10 business. And if you remember, we said that one business could be 1 founder to 5 founders. And so this is why, and this is from when the industry has shifted from pretty much only supporting teams of 5, because the designated entities saw that their benefits, profits, interests were decreasing if they would be supporting only 10 companies, 10 new startups that would be made of only 1 or 2 applicants each. So this is driving the market right now. So designated entities are looking for teams. It also means that less startup visa application will be able to be submitted every year. Okay, so that created some sort of a hunt for quotas. At Holborn, because we're a big group and because, I've been practicing for over 25 years, have a strong network. We are not affected by quotas, meaning that any applicant, even now at the nearly end of July, there are new clients approaching us for the startup. We still have room for them. It might be different if we're in November, but let's see. And then the clock sets back to zero and we start over again, January 1st. So it's not that you have to have submitted your application during the calendar year, is that you need to get the letter of support during the calendar year to be in that year's quota. Then optional open work permit. So as I said at the beginning, the startup visa is a permanent residency program. So you apply to become a permanent resident of Canada. But because this program is to go to Canada to set up a business and run this business, IRCC was offering from the beginning for some of the applicants to be able to apply for a work permit. Okay, so a work permit is not a permanent residency, it's a temporary residency, but you could go to Canada to start working on your startup from within Canada. It was a closed work permit, so you could only work on your startup and only for 1 year. Now they've changed it to an open work permit. An open work permit means that you can work for anyone. Of course, we need to remember that if you apply for this open work permit under the startup visa, it's mainly the goal should be to be in Canada to work on your startup. But IRCC recognizes that with a startup, you will not be making money from day one. It may take months or years before you make money from the startup. So they thought that giving the opportunity to also maybe get a job or do something else at the same time would be helpful to pay the bills and be able to have the family come over and everything. So it's an open work permit. And now they give it for up to 3 years. Again, recognizing that the processing time for the permanent residency is always longer, always stretching. So giving 3 years is quite good. It's optional. Okay, so if you've heard somewhere that you have to apply for the work permit, if you apply for the startup visa, this is wrong. It's optional. And to tell you the truth, I only assess potential client for the work permit on case by case basis because they are very strict. You may have seen that in Canada right now, they're trying to reduce as much as possible the number of temporary residents. So they're not renewing study permits or work permits for people already in Canada. So they're also, you can imagine, not accepting as many new work permit holders and study permit holders. So it's getting more and more difficult to be accepted for a work permit. They're also difficult on, let's say you have a team of 5, who would be coming on the 5 founders? Who's the most important person? Would it be the CEO of this startup or the chief marketing officer of this startup? So they ask a lot of questions. So right now for each team, usually we will only have 1 or 2 members that would be deemed as essential and that would be able to apply for that open work permit. Last point. So every year in October or November, IRCC publishes the immigration level plans for the next 3 years. So in 2024, they had said that for the startup program category, it would be 5,000 per year. But then straight away, they've changed it. I'm sorry, that was in 2023, but in 2024, they said that for 2025 and up, it will be reduced. So this year in 2025, it's 2,000 maximum for startup visa applicants and self-employed. They're in the same category. So that means less than 2,000 for the startup visa applicant. And from 2026 and 2027, it will go down to 1,000. So this is why the processing time stretches, it gets longer and longer because they want to admit less permanent residents in Canada every year at the moment. With the new government and what they've said so far, with the numbers we see, we believe they will keep it like this. But who knows, we'll see in the fall. So at Holborn, we offer two pathways to apply for the startup visa. So you can decide to go with an incubator, and we only work with incubator that benefit from the prioritized processing. And so the package starts at 210,000 Canadian dollars, or you can be supported by a venture capitalist with prioritized processing. The biggest difference between the two would be that with an incubator, you need to follow a training. All the founders of the startup will have to be attending. Usually it's online, as everybody's not in the same location, but it can be quite time consuming. I've seen some incubators asking applicants to be online for 6 weeks. 4 days a week for 1 to 2 hours per day. So on top of what you're doing every day, you must have a job, you have a family and everything. For some people, that may not be very convenient. But this said, I have to say that the training is quite informative. You gain a lot of knowledge on doing business in Canada. So we do have a training for this for all our applicants, whether they're with incubator or a VC, where we will be teaching you or giving you information on where to find funding, how to network, there's some aspects specialized to your industry and everything. That's for all our clients, but this training that I've mentioned for the incubator is a little bit more demanding. So that's the difference in between the two. Okay, so to have a startup visa application that could be successful, you need many things, right? So first, we're going to look at your profile qualifications. I've mentioned that in the past. You will have to do all the corporate documents that you need, so we will be helping you. So you have to incorporate the company in Canada, you need to allocate the shares in between shareholders, you need to have an agreement, open a bank account, and some account management. So if you work with us, we would be helping you with this. IP, so intellectual property, because you're going to have an innovative idea that you will have presented to us or that we will work together with you to find. We need to make sure that that the IP belongs to you. So you have to do all the ownership documents and make sure also that this IP doesn't exist before. With you, we would also be working on the product development. Okay, so that can even be a prototype or MVP, minimum viable product. But so we would be helping you with this and all, of course, the commercialization of the product. So you need to have a logo, a website. We need to work on getting all the social media handles and all of this. And the last box is immigration, working on the immigration application. It's a lot of details, but it's documents that usually you should be able to get easily. Sometimes it takes time. You need a birth certificate, marriage certificate. You will need to have work experience, reference letters, maybe diplomas. You need to get your English test or French test done. So there's a little bit of fee here and there and time. But we work together and we guide you on how to make the best application possible to achieve a successful application for a startup visa. So everything I've said is pretty much on this slide anyways. So we agree together, you sign the agreement, and then you will be making the initial payment. Then we would be working on the business concept and consult with a designated entity to see who would be willing to support this idea, pairing you with co-founders. Training, so we train you to be able to pitch the idea to the designated organization, so that at step 4, the designated organization would say, yes, okay, we want to support this idea. Step 5 and after onwards, we work on the preparation of the immigration application at the same time of the business development, because the business development will be ongoing until you're accepted for permanent residency. Step 6 says that at one point you will have to do a medical examination that the government of Canada will be asking. And then you will be receiving a letter that says that you've been accepted for permanent residency. Step 7, you will be going to Canada to proceed to what we call the landing, official landing, where they will confirm your PR status. And a few weeks later, you will be receiving your permanent residency card. So these are the steps. So these steps can take 2 years, or if we look at the processing time right now published on the website, it would be 50 months. So 51 months, so let's say 4 years. This is a number that always changes and that we don't have a control over. The only thing I do as a representative is that we only submit the best application we can so that we don't create additional delays ourselves. So if you send us, if you are interested in this program, the first thing we will be asking you is a CV, because it's the best way to see whether you look eligible for this program or not. Then if we agree to work together, then we would be working on the business idea. So work on your business idea, assess your business idea, or work on finding one with you. Then work on getting the letter of support. So that can take 3 months if we have all the business partners, so say 3 to 6 months. Then work on the immigration application, which we can do from the start, of course. And then it's, as I said, the business development and the PR processing that last a year and a half and up. Okay, so if you're attending the webinar today, it's maybe or probably invested in Canada already. But here are some, data. As I said before, we have a huge country. If you look at the total area in square kilometers, it always amazes me that it's nearly 10 million. It's a huge number. The census here, I could have this change. The latest I've seen was about 40 or 41 million people in Canada. It's very diverse. We're a welcoming country. Most of the people see Canada as being a safe country and very welcoming of any culture. It's easy to find people from all nationalities in Canada. So I hope that I haven't checked the chat or the Q&A. Thierry, Toga, I hope you're going to help me with this. Then as a closure, established for 25 years, Holborn has made its proofs for financial products. And now, as Thierry Toga mentioned, for citizenship by investment or residency by investment. It's important to say that Canada does not have a citizenship by investment program. You cannot straight away get citizenship. You need to go through permanent residency. So I think that's it. Thierry Toga, can you jump in and tell me if I missed something, if something was not clear?
No, thank you so much. It was very succinct and clear. I'll just open it up to questions now. For those that joined throughout the webinar, please feel free to type in your questions. But one question here is, can one qualify for a startup visa by starting a subsidiary of the business they have established in their home country? And if so, can they register someone else for that subsidiary instead of themselves?
That would be more the intra-company transfer program and not the startup, because for the startup business, they will look if this business idea exists elsewhere. When we said innovative, it needs to be innovative in Canada, but they still look outside of Canada. So we would have to assess this situation. So far, that kind of situation, I haven't had any success with. but because they were very big and well-established companies elsewhere, and that because we have a team that assesses business ideas and qualifications of the applicants, and so it would not have been deemed as innovative in Canada. So for that reason, we did not accept, to represent these clients. So yeah, usually if you want to do this, I would look into the ICT, the intra-company transfer program.
Okay. And then the next question is, can I include my parents in the application?
No, sadly, in Canada, it's really, the little family unit. So parents and their children. We cannot include the parents of the applicant, unlike the golden visas that we're used to, or the CBIs, that program that we know in the Caribbean. There's no such thing. But there is what we call a super visa for the parents, or the parents of the applicant could apply for this visa. So it gives them the chance to go to Canada for a long period of times over many years, depending on their passport validity and everything. So usually new permanent residency in Canada will do that for their parents.
Okay. And then the next question here is, what types of businesses does Canada promote more or need more?
Yeah, so what they're looking is for something that's truly innovative, okay? Although they haven't defined what they meant by this, but if it's high tech, if it has a strong potential to scale up. Canada, with this program, is looking for unicorns, okay? And they were very lucky because when they started the program, they quickly got a unicorn with three Iranian brothers who started a company under the startup visa, and this company became a great success. It became a multi-million company, and ever since, these guys, they've opened up so many other companies, and they're part, of the incubator system in Canada and everything. So this is what they're looking for. So they're looking for the best proposal. Of course, if it's in health, it's good. If it's in engineering of any type, it's good. So we cannot really say specifically, what would be the next unicorn. But if it's highly tech or in the new trends, new technologies and everything, for sure, it would be interesting. But we've seen some applicant being successful with just a website, a software, or an app on the phone for services that we could say just more basic. So because it was still innovative, there was a potential to hire Canadian in Canada and to scale up.
Okay. And I think we'll take one or two more questions. Is there an age limit for directors?
So this, we need to speak with the designated entity to see if there's an age limit. I think that if you're over 55 years old, then, we really need to, I have to ask around. I would say that 68 would be the maximum. But again, I would be happy to ask a designated entity to see whether they would support a founder that would be 70 years old, for example. But so there's no age limit set by the law. Same thing for the youth. I've had one applicant who was 19 years old, but he had a nice CV. He worked hard at school. He was part of so many after-school programs. He worked in a startup in his country, and he was eligible. But so, yeah, for the age, I think below 55 should not be a problem. Above this, it's case by case.
Okay. And then last question. I'm not too sure if this person is giving their business idea away.
No.
But it says, can a caregiver services company qualify?
If you just say this sentence right now, I would say no.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it depends. Can this person or this group of person come up with something that's needed in this industry, but that is at the same time, yeah, that's innovative. Maybe, I'm not specialized in this industry, so I cannot see. I'm not tech savvy, so I don't have an idea popping out in my mind like that. But looking at the CV, of this prospective applicant, and sharing it with our business team. Okay, the business team is made of people holding PhDs. They are in Canada, of course, and so they know exactly what we need in Canada, what's available and not, and so they could assess the profile to start with of the prospective applicant, and then maybe they can also help the person to come up with an idea. But usually for services, it's difficult to apply under the startup visa unless you bring a tech component to it.
All right, perfect. No, I think thank you so much, Catherine. We'll close up the questions, but definitely we'll be reaching out to those who registered to have more one-on-one in-depth conversations. But thank you so much for joining us, Catherine. Thank you.
Thank you, Thierry Toga. Thank you. And yeah, any other questions, you can send them to me.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're joining from.